Here I've got the second non-AI lens that I converted to work on my D750. It's a 50mm Nikon f2, and this can be had on eBay for $30 to $60 depending on how patient you are and what kind of stock there is. And it's interesting because it fits in the same price range as the 50mm 1.8E and a non-AI 50mm f1.4, in this case a Nikon SC Auto, which really begs the question, which one of the three is the best if they're all in the same price range? And also, why is the slowest lens the same price and honestly probably going to be a little bit more than the fastest, the 1.4? And that's because, in my opinion, it's probably optically the best. The 1.4, while it's big and kind of heavy, definitely well built, it just doesn't perform very well wide open. And so if you're never going to shoot at 1.4 because of the problems of the lens, it makes sense to get something lighter. So that being said, I made a video on my conversion of this. I notched it out incorrectly so it doesn't meter correctly on my camera, but it's still pretty nice to use. This is the third version of the lens. There was a Nikon H and HC, and then this one, and it can also be found in an AI version. They're a little more rare to find on eBay, but that will save you the hassle of having to notch out the aperture ring. It's got 6 elements in 4 groups with a 6-bladed aperture. Get an idea of, there it goes. 52mm thread size, it weighs about 8.2 ounces. The minimum aperture of f16. It's a pretty nice lens. I really like the build quality. I have a 1.8G over here, and it's just, I'm just not a fan of the plastic construction. I guess you save a little bit on weight, but it just doesn't feel very durable. And the integrated autofocus motor, at some point in time that is going to die. Well, these, this one was made 1975 to 1977. It's still going after 40 years. I have no, doubt that it'll go after another 40. The G is never going to make it 40 years. I just, the plastic at some point in time is going to break down. It's got about 190 degrees worth of travel on the focus ring. Pretty nice to use, no complaints. It's probably, like I said, the best optically, but I'm not sure that that would be the one that I would buy. The 1.8E is pretty close to it in terms of optical quality, and just the size. It's just so small. It's a pancake lens, and it's actually lighter than the 50mm 1.8G, and with the size and the lightweight, and it's an AI lens, so no need to go ahead and convert it. Save a little bit of time, and since they're not that expensive, and the small size make it probably slightly more desirable, and it's not that far off the f2. So with that said, we'll go through some sample images, and those will also be on Flickr, and see what you think. Here's the first of the test images that I took. If we look, you can see it's at f2, and when this changes, because I didn't convert the lens correctly, the data won't show up correctly. It'll be 2 stops off, so it's going to be f2 for a while. But zooming in 1:1, things are fairly sharp, a little soft, but I'm not one for major pixel peeping. There's a little bit of soft vignetting going on. We'll see that when we go to f2.8. I'm not noticing any major distortion around the edges of the lens. There might be a little bit there, but nothing that I'm bothered by. And looking in the background, getting an idea of the bokeh. It's fairly nice, you know. Nothing spectacular, but also nothing that I find majorly distracting. So this is 2.8. We can see that it brightens up quite a bit, as well as going into where I was focused on this leaf right here. Things are a little bit sharper, and the bokeh still looks good in the background. I'm not seeing anything jarring or anything like that, so overall looking pretty good. And here at f4, I've got, you know, a little bit sharper, and everything's looking good. I don't notice any signs of vignetting or anything like that, and it's working pretty well. Now we're at 5.6, and I'm not sure if I can tell a difference in sharpness. If we go back to f4 and then to f5.6, f4, f5. f5.6 might be a little bit sharper, but I mean, it's pretty hard to tell. And the foreground and the background starting to come in focus, and still looks fine to me. f8, f11, and f16. And these will, of course, be available on Flickr in full resolution, so you can take a look if you desire. And if you found this helpful at all, click subscribe, and there will be more lens reviews until I run out in the future. Thanks for watching.